Well, hello everybody. It is a cold Easter evening at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester, and we've just watched City and Arsenal draw 0-0 off the back of a win for Liverpool, which leaves them top of the league, Gary. But this is the game we've watched. What did you think?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised by the fact that I thought it would be an intense game. I thought that it would be electric. Maybe after the international break, sometimes you don't get the sort of quality of games that people expect. I always remember back in our day, our manager would say to us, when you come back from international breaks, your heads are full of mince. I'm not saying that was the reason for today, but maybe they just weren't quite right. But it was as if both managers, both teams were in that mould of, we're going to make it very difficult for you. We're going to make it extremely difficult to the point whereby we're going to sort of hamper our own attacking ambition and make sure we don't lose. And there was a feeling that none of them really gambled. I mean, Pep Guardiola gambled probably more than Mikel Arteta by bringing on Doku and Grealish. But yeah, both teams were well short, I thought, in terms of their ordinary attacking play. But there was some great defensive work, and Arsenal proved today that two things. One, that you think where they were last year on this run-in, that's a different unit. That's a different resilience and robustness. The thing that you need on a title run-in is strength of mentality. And they've demonstrated a lot to themselves today and everybody that they can come here and keep a clean sheet. And that was it 2.5, 3 years since anybody's had a clean sheet here. So that's a hell of an effort. And the next thing was the defensive structure. Just seeing a 4-4-2, it was effectively a 4-4-2 that Mikel Arteta deployed. And the work ethic of the two wide players, before I start going into the sort of, if you like, defensive part with Saliba and Gabriel, who were absolutely outstanding. The two wide players, I don't know their running stats today, we won't get them either, but they were off the scale in their doubling up. I've quite often said that, you know, in big games, you know, when I played as a right back, I quite often relied, you're playing against a Mark Overmars or a David Ginola or an Ian Robben, a great player. You can't handle them one-on-one on your own. You do need the support of your wide player to come back and make it difficult. Jesus and Saka were absolutely outstanding in that respect today. The work they put in for their team was brilliant, and they suffered in a sense that they didn't get forward and provide the attacking threat that they would have wanted. And then the job that Ødegaard and Havertz did, again, they were both sort of very, very disciplined, and we quite often point out where there isn't a work ethic from sort of players in sort of wide areas or forward areas. It should be pointed out today that Arsenal front four, we expect the back six to do that, but that front four were outstanding in their defensive work. They really were. I thought that last season, obviously everyone said without Saliba it was a massive loss in that run-in. We've seen today how much. I thought Gabriel was outstanding, by the way, and I think you need to say that. But Saliba was, I said, a giant when I gave him man of the match. He was the ranked first in every single metric. And so it was a brilliant defensive performance. So from that mentality point of view, that robustness point of view, Arsenal, box ticked. From a point of view of defensively coming here and keeping a clean sheet, box ticked. I think that they're proud. You can see the Arsenal fans over in that far corner celebrating, not celebrating, but I think demonstrating a level of respect to the players for the effort that they've put in today. Now, you know, last year they got absolutely blitzed here, didn't they? They got torn apart, and that's still fresh in the memory of probably quite a few of those players. So, you know, well done to Arsenal. Manchester City just weren't at the best today, but again, they've kept a clean sheet, and the title battle is bumped down the road. The one thing I would say is that before the game, I felt as though Arsenal needed to go and win the game. And that will only be proven right or wrong at the end of the season. It's easier said than done to go and win the game here, because you can go and try and win the game here and you can end up losing because you might be too attacking. So you're always in that bit of a moment whereby it was always going to be a sort of snatch, if you like, or a moment of a counter-attack or a set piece. So I think they'll be disappointed with the counter-attack, Arsenal, and I think they'll be disappointed with the set pieces. And from Pep Guardiola's perspective, I don't think they'll panic. I think they're third at the moment, aren't they? But they won't panic because they know what they're like. They could go perfect. That's their toughest game, I think, Manchester City. So I think that when you look at their run-in, they'll think they can go unbeaten, sort of, if you like, perfect all the way in. Whereas I think that they'll think that, you know, Liverpool and Arsenal will drop points. So a good day for Liverpool, a good day for all three of them in some respects. I don't think any of them come out of today thinking that they've sort of, if you like, out of the title race or that they've played poorly. But I just wanted more from the game. I think that's the big thing. I wanted more intensity. I wanted more electricity, and we didn't get that. But there was a lot of things to respect in the game.
As you said, prior to the game you thought Arsenal probably needed to win. I wonder whether, without being critical, they're playing against the champions, for goodness sake, the treble winners. I wonder whether, though, they might have a small regret, particularly given the potential vulnerability of City without Walker, without Stones, that they didn't give it a little bit more of a oomph.
Yeah, I mean, we said before the game, City have got 3 of their back 5 missing, but it was still a £200 million back 4. So it's not as if they've gone from sort of, if you like, here to here. But there's just something inside me that I think Liverpool one year drew with. They may have drawn with Everton in one of them titanic struggles they had with Manchester City. They may have drawn with Everton, I think, in February, March, or might have drawn with Manchester United. I can't remember the games. But then at the end of the season, you might have thought they were good results at the time. But then you look back at the end of the season because of City's perfect runs, and you end up thinking, oh, I just should have just gone for it. In time gone by, in my time, that you'd have walked away from today, said no problem. Both teams, all 3 teams are going to drop points before the end of the season. The problem is with City, you can't bank on them dropping points because they've done it so many times. So that's where I think I have the hesitation of saying that, you know, this ordinarily is a great point to come here and keep a clean sheet. It's an amazing effort. But in the context of the title, it may be at the end, maybe that we'll look back upon the fact that, you know, could Arsenal have been a little bit more adventurous? But, you know, I can't be critical of Arsenal today because I think it's a monumental leap forward from where they were last year. Last year I could feel it, I could smell that they weren't ready for the title. And I've not had that this season, to be honest with you. In fact, they've grown into the season, and today has given me more confidence. That is a type of performance that can win you a league. That is the type of performance that can build trust in what you're doing more than anything sometimes, because of the fact that how difficult this place is to come to.
And City, sort of big picture, they're 3 points behind Liverpool now. For what that means, I mean, with 8 or 9, do you still get the sense that with their savvy and with their experience and this pursuit of history 4 in a row, they're kind of just lurking there on the shoulder of the front runner, ready to do it?
Yeah, and I think that Pep Guardiola will now look at these last 9 games and think, yeah, 9 wins, 27 points. I think that's exactly what he will think, and I think he'll know that 27 points will win him the title. He'll be hoping that there's a gift from the Mancunian Reds next week and that he's helped by the fact that obviously Liverpool go to Old Trafford. I mean, I'm sure you'll ask me about Manchester United shortly. If they played like they did last night, then I don't think there'll be much help coming. But yeah, I think that Pep Guardiola won't panic. I think that in this position, you'd ordinarily say we're sat on the shoulder, ready for them to wait, ready for them to drop points. And teams ordinarily in the past have always dropped points, but we have seen some exceptional run-ins in the last sort of, if you like, 5-6 years, where teams have gone on mega runs, I would call them. So yeah, you're not quite sure what's going to happen. My gut feeling is that this is more of an ordinary season where there might be some hiccups here and there. But I think City will make less mistakes than the others on the run-in. That's why I thought Arsenal might just need more of a cushion. You know, I had Arsenal at the start of the season to win the league. I'm not going to change my position, but I would have wanted them to win 3 points today. You know, be further ahead just to give them that little bit more of that safety net.
So clearly, I wouldn't want anyone to think we were ignoring Liverpool. It's just that clearly you haven't seen them play in the detail that you've seen City and Arsenal today. But yeah, they won from behind. You saw bits of it.
Yeah.
What have you got to say about Liverpool?
I watched the first half actually. And I think obviously Brighton went a goal in front, Danny Welbeck scoring a fantastic goal, and then, you know, Mo Salah had a sort of a lot of chances. Liverpool get a goal back, and you know, they've got over the line today. It was a tough game, and Brighton did really well and sort of kept on going and kept creating moments that looked a threat going forward. I watched the last 10 minutes, I think 5 minutes up here with you, didn't I? So I think that it's a good day for Liverpool, but I expected Liverpool to win today. This wasn't a Liverpool trip-up day. If Liverpool had dropped points today, then you just thought, oh, that's a bad one. This was a game today where I thought that, you know, you didn't know what was going to happen in this game, but you imagined and thought that Liverpool would get the 3 points.
And throwing it forward, as you already have, to next weekend, in the context of watching Manchester United last night, as you say, I mean, the Manchester United, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You watched Manchester United last night. What do you think about them going into the Liverpool game, having seen what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I watched them last night and suppose, like everybody else, couldn't believe really what I was watching. Thought that they would put a bit of pressure on Tottenham and Villa on the run-in. It's actually really difficult to play that badly. Honestly, it really is, you know. because I can't remember any point in the game where they had, usually, whatever team you play against, even if you're a top team, the other team will have 5-10 minutes of play or of domination. Manchester United, I can't think of any point in that game, maybe the first few minutes, but I can't think of any point in that game where they did anything well at all. I mean, it was a horrible performance, it really was, to the point whereby when Mason Mount scored, I don't know, I mean, I think Manchester United fans, we may have had to have started a petition maybe to give Brentford 2 points back or something. It was absolute robbery. But then Brentford score. I can't even explain that performance. I've no idea where it comes from. Very worrying that you can go to that level of low. You know you can play badly in football. You know you can have players missing. You know you can miss chances. You know that sometimes you don't feel quite right. But that was a dismal effort in an attempt to play football, in an attempt to work as hard as you possibly can. When they give the ball away, Manchester United, their reaction to giving the ball away is non-existent compared to all the other teams that I see. They really are one of the worst teams that you can see out of possession in terms of making it difficult. What we've seen from Arsenal today, and you see the levels of sort of defending, compactness, the work ethic of all the front players to be a cohesive unit to defend together. There's none of that. You know, I'm not saying that the defenders or the midfield players are sort of, if you like, blameless, because they can do a lot better themselves as well. But there's just not a unity at all. There's no idea of how to defend and how to play without the ball. And that wasn't very good. And just worrying signs really that you can get to that level of low in a performance, because you think about before the international break and where Manchester United were at. They had one of the most incredible moments. They should be absolutely bouncing into that game at Brentford, and yet we saw what we saw. So when you think about next week, I mean, look, they won't be that bad next week. They can't be that bad. But in the game in the Cup, Liverpool, we all remember, should have gone and won the game. You know what I mean? In the second half, they dominated the game. So I think that if Liverpool do their jobs next week, then Manchester United, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. and obviously we're doing the game and we'll see what happens. But it'll be different. And there'll be something there. There'll be a different sort of feeling, a different spirit. There just will be. You can't get any worse. I think there's a game before that, obviously, in midweek as well.
Yeah, of course there is. I just thought, just a quick personal word for Mason Mount. I know it was a dismal evening for Manchester United, but I've got no skin in the game. I'm absolutely neutral. From a human perspective, I did think that was a lovely moment, didn't you?
I did, and they ruined it even for him. It's like, you know what I mean? You think, well, Mason Mount, sort of, you can imagine him at the end of the game scoring the winner. That would have just completely lifted him from where he's been, because it's desperate when you're injured and you miss football matches. Honestly, it's horrible. You feel useless. You feel like you're not contributing. You feel like you're letting your teammates down. You feel like you're letting the fans down, your family down. You really do sort of like... It can send you into a big low. I mean, I remember at the end of my career whereby I was almost wanting to stay clear of my teammates, because you're almost not wanting that question to come to you. How are you when you're back? How's it going? That type. You get that question every day from like 30, 40, 50 people, 60 people, and it like really sort of at the end you get sick and tired of saying, yeah, it's going well. Yeah, I'm coming back soon. Yeah, I'm working hard. And in the end, you just end up sort of trying to stay away from it. And Mason Mount will have been through that, I'm sure, those low moments in the last few months. So to get that moment was a big moment for him, but obviously it was sort of stripped away a little bit, well, a lot in the end, by the fact that Brentford, who fully deserved, by the way, to equalise, so I'm not taking anything away from Brentford. I thought they were absolutely outstanding in the game. I mean, I've always enjoyed watching Brentford, because they're a team that know how they're going to play, they work as hard as they possibly can, and they extract the maximum out of their sort of capability and their sort of skill levels. That's all you can ever ask from anybody in life. All you can ever ask is to extract the maximum from yourself, and Brentford do that every time they go out onto the pitch. The opposite is so of Manchester United.
Fabulous club, Brentford. And for you now, Spurs and Villa 4th and 5th.
Yeah, I mean, look, I said earlier on in the week, sometimes I can get a little bit sort of, what's the word? I can tweak the tail of the tiger a little bit and say, Tottenham and Villa, they're not always convincing. It's a pressure for them to get to Champions League, to get those spots. It means a lot to those two clubs, as it does to every club. And I just thought, well, 6 points, and if you Tottenham just got over the line yesterday, obviously against Luton. Villa did their bit, but there's tough games coming up for all of them. I think Villa come here, don't they?
Villa have got all three, and they've got City in the week. Yes.
Yeah. So Villa come here in the week, and that's going to be tough. So you think that if the fact that they are going to drop points, but when you look at United's level of performance, you just think that not only will they struggle to get into the fifth spot or fourth spot, they don't deserve to at this moment in time with what we're seeing because of the fact they're so inconsistent.
Just on that run-in, because we must end soon, but Villa are one of the teams that play all three. Yeah. Actually, they play, I think their last home game is Liverpool.
Right.
You can imagine, do you see them having already beaten Arsenal and City at Villa Park? Could they be one to put a spanner in somebody's works?
They've got it in them, haven't they? They've got the sort of characteristics of a team that can create a shock away from home by the fact they've got some pace up front. They've got obviously a sort of a decent goalkeeper who can make saves. And when you come here and see teams, or when you go to Liverpool or you go to Arsenal, you have to have that bit of luck. You have to have an half-decent goalkeeper that makes saves. You have to have a defence that's competent, and they are. A midfield that's sort of rats and sort of gets back into shape. And then you've got to have pace and a little bit of unpredictable player up front. And they've got that. So, yeah, they've got the type of... But it'll be tough for them because these three teams are going to be so hyped. Liverpool, Arsenal and City are going to be so hyped in this next 9 games. It's going to be hard to get a point off them. It's going to be hard to win games against them because it's so, they're actually there, even though Villa are as well. But we know that these three teams are a level above Villa, and Villa are punching at this moment in time and doing brilliantly. And it'd be great for the Premier League if they were to get into the Champions League, because we've got to keep that competitiveness where we don't know who's going to be in that top 4 every season. That's the sort of beauty of the pyramid, that you're not quite sure who's going to go down. You're not quite sure who's going to get into the top 4 or into the Europa League. That we have to maintain that.
Absolutely so, and they are, and Spurs in the mix as well.
Yeah.
And Manchester United, Liverpool, a week away, and you never know, do you? You just never know.
You never know.
I
hope it's similar to the one a few weeks ago.
Yeah, of course you do, which was a great game. So let's hope we see that one. Thank you, Gary.
See you later.
Lovely.
Bye.